Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to our May full ANC meeting for 5D07. We're glad to have everybody online. We see people are checking in, so we're going to move forward with our roll call. We have Commissioner Linhan, 5D01.
Present.
And we have Commissioner Shropshire is not here, 5D02. 5D03, Commissioner Motley. You're on mute, but I'm gonna take that as a suppression. We're waiting on Commissioner Blacknell. Commissioner Moore is here, 5D04. And myself, we do have a quorum, so we're gonna go forward with the meeting. Commissioners, any changes to the agenda?
None from me.
Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the agenda as reported. Commissioner Linham, I did see you made that slight adjustment. So we're good with that.
Yes.
And the agenda is going to be accepted as stated there. Can we see if the community can see the agenda, Ms. Moore?
I can pull it up for a screen share, but give me just a moment.
Okay.
I actually can pull it up. I have it right now.
Okay, if you can do that.
Yep.
I can pull it up. I see it here.
No, I'm pulling up right now.
Alrighty. And Commissioner Moore,
my
just give me a
screen?
little buzz if the community can see it. You get any responses?
Yes, I'll share the link with people so that they can also view it on their personal device as well. So that'll be in the chat section for everyone.
All righty, so let's move on. Commissioner Linham with the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any changes, commissioners?
For
None
me, I
from me.
sent this out to everyone.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the minutes as they are.
Can
I
get a
second.
That has been properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Raise your hand. Okay, it's been moved and properly second and accepted. The minutes accepted as reported, Commissioner Linhan. Can you step forward with the treasurer's report, Commissioner Linhan?
I do not have the report right now linked to the agenda, so I'm going to have difficulties pulling that up right now. So Del, did you have that?
Well,
Sure. I think
just the items that we need to.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to the items that we need to pay for your report.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
the following bills, Verizon, get.
Yes, oh, my bad. Sorry, starting to adopt these new roles. Anyway, yes, we have our Verizon bill that is $142.61, a bill for April for Gallaudet for our interpreting services for $550. We purchased Commissioner Moore purchased a laptop for $339.19, and I have purchased the Zoom license for this month, which is a total of $81.40.
Yeah, and I just wanted to make one comment here, which is that we have already passed a budget, which includes these items because we know that they're recurring expenses. So it just helps us sort of streamline the process to say, okay, we need, computer supplies, we need a Zoom license now that, folks are at home doing ANC work. And so it makes it possible for us to have all of our members here in attendance for those meetings.
So I'd like to make a motion to make these purchases.
Yes. I'll second that motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Second by
Aye.
okay. We will meet to get those checks written.
Commissioner
Next
Motley,
on
did
the
you?
agenda.
Yes.
Yes, Commissioner Lennon.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I had the vote correct. Okay, sorry. Thank you.
All Ready? Commissioner Moore, do we have anybody from the 5th District on yet? For the standing presentation?
I don't see them online. I do see Malik. We do have Malik Miller online.
Okay. Mr. Miller.
Yes.
Would you like to go forward with you? All right. Good evening, Mr. Miller.
Good evening. I'm just getting myself together. Hold on 1 second.
And while we wait on Mr. Miller, Commissioner Moore, is anyone else online?
We do have some of the presenters online. I don't have anyone from the council member's office yet. And I don't have our new captain from MPD. I don't see him online yet.
Okay, so we
Okay,
might
I'm
move
good
to
to
the
go.
next. Okay, go ahead.
So good evening, everyone. My name is Malik Miller, Ward 5 Mokers from the mayor's office. Just checking in just to give you all some updates. We have you guys, we have new testing centers. It will be, one is at the All Care Medicine and Urgent Care, 1710 Rhode Island Avenue, Northwest. I'm not sure if I spoke on that one the last time. Whitman Walker Health in Ward 1, you'll have to call for an appointment. MedStar Health in Ward 5. I think I spoke on Sibley Memorial last time. Also, if there's any residents who are homebound because of COVID-19 to request food, please call 1-888-349-8323, or also you can log on to coronavirus.dc.gov/get-help. I've had a lot of seniors reach out to me regarding the home meal delivery for the Department of Aging and Community Living, which will be a hotline that seniors are able to call in for assistance for meal delivery. The number will be 202-724-5626. Okay. We have been, people from my team and also the rest of the Bowser administration has been helping out at the unemployment. So hopefully you guys that are calling in have been getting shorter wait times. If not, please let me know. That would definitely help us a lot, because I know we're still adding more people as we come along. I wonder, did I talk about primary elections the last time? In light of COVID-19, the DC Board of Elections encourages all residents to request an absentee, which is a mail-in ballot for the June primary and special elections. Applications for the absentee ballot request can be obtained by calling 202-741-5283 or visiting www.dcboe.org. And the vote center locations for Ward 5 will be Turkey Thicket Recreation Center and also McKinley Technology High School. Okay. So award notifications for DMPED's DC Small Business Recovery Microgram Program will begin on April 29th and will continue through May 8th. I'm sure these guys have received their grants. After the recipient receives their award notification, they've been contacted by the Community Development Financial Institution who instructed them on how to complete the micro grant agreement paperwork. The check takes about 7 to 14 days, and the payment for direct deposit will be 1 or 2 days. We still have the mayor's orders for everyone to wear face masks, and also stores must limit the number of shoppers allowed. Let's see. I know you guys are kind of, well, I'll let MPD handle that one. The reopen DC. So Mayor Bowser announced that our reopening efforts will be led by the Reopen DC Advisory Group, and it consists of 12 committees and is chaired by Ambassador Susan Rice and Secretary Michael Chertoff. Also, the 3 phases for reopening will be emergency response, where we are now, stabilization, which is what Reopen DC will focus on, which involves relaxing restrictions, but closely monitoring and quickly responding to negative metrics. And the third will be long-term recovery, which is how we will find new, more resilient normal, likely started once a vaccine is widely available. For the contracted task force, Mayor Bowser directed $2.3 million of the district's contingency cash reserve fund for initial staffing hires at the DC Coronavirus Contract Trace Force, which is housed at the DC Department of Health. DC Human Resources has begun the first contact tracers for the force. DC Health plans to onboard 200 candidates in the first phase of the contact trace force expansion, and eventually we'll aim to onboard a total of 900 contact trace force employees. And that is all I have.
I do want to remind people that if you have a question, there's the ability to raise your hand. So that function is at the bottom of your screens or next to your name. You can click to raise your hand. I do see that we have several hands raised, so I'm assuming those questions are for the mayor's office. So first up, I'm gonna put Kevin Horgan on to speak. All right, Kevin, you should be able to ask your question. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was in a local store recently, a couple days ago. While I was in there, a customer walked in and did not have any face shield or face mask on them, no regard whatsoever for social distancing. And I was wearing, the owner was wearing a bandana, I was wearing a face mask. I asked the owner after that person left, hey, I actually felt a little unsafe here. Why was that person allowed in here? How come you didn't ask him to wear a face mask? And actually the owner got very emotional, and he said that in recent days, when she has asked customers to not come in without a face mask, they've screamed and yelled at her. Some people have just cried, gotten emotional. And what she said is that she's not seeing any leadership from the mayor's office, and that it's not being mandated. And she feels that if it's on her to ask for mandatory face masks during this pandemic, that she's being made out to be the bad guy. And I'm dismissed, because it would be helpful, I think, for a lot of small business owners if the mayor came out and mandated this. Like we know in the grocery stores, they're requiring people to wear face masks, but it doesn't seem like it's been mandatory for all other small businesses. All right, I guess that's my question. Is the mayor going to mandate this so small mom and pop businesses can request that and not be be an us versus them? It's everyone's in it together. That's my question.
Yes, it should already be in place as far as mandated. Could you give me the specific store that you're referring to?
I can follow up offline with the name of the store, but that owner did not feel that she had the ability to require that or even put a sign up that it was mandatory. And I guess my question for you is that mandatory for all businesses?
Yes, especially if people are going in and out.
Okay, I will follow up. What is your email address?
I'm gonna put it in the group chat.
And I'll email you the store information. You can follow up with her directly.
Got you. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move on Our next question from Sabrina Rhodes. Sabrina, you're on and able to talk right now.
Hi, everyone. I have a couple of questions. First, the men's shelter on New York Avenue. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can
Yes.
hear you.
Yes.
Okay. The men's shelter, I read an article about there were a lot of cases at the men's shelter, and one of the employees, one of the security guards died. We don't have a list of Ivy City cases. I believe Ivy City was connected with Trinidad. So there's some kind of confusion of what do we have going on in Ivy City. I'm under the impression that the neighborhoods have been divided on a list, but I don't never see Ivy City. And we have a men's shelter. We have a lot of the men that are still coming into the neighborhoods, and everybody have masks, but what is the mayor's office doing about, because the cases are so high in Ward 5. Like,
Okay.
we understand the testing, the contract tracing, the jobs, but I'm speaking about specifically in shelter.
I
Gotcha.
understand.
Okay.
Malik?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So what I'll do is, I've had actually someone call me today regarding the men's shelter. So what I'll do is I'm in back and forth with director when it comes to, just trying to make sure that everyone is accounted for. I want to make sure that, if we are having a lot of high cases at the men's shelter, that we are make sure that we're getting them testing. We're making sure that, that they're not just roaming in the spreading the disease, I guess you can call it, throughout Ivy City. So
Right.
that I want to get your information, so I make sure I
Right.
follow up with you on that certain matter.
And Sabrina, I do
Commissioner
appreciate you
Brown,
bringing it.
may I say something?
And huh?
Sabrina, I did want to say,
Ryan, you
thank
said
you for bringing this up to your about the shelter. There are 85 confirmed cases at the shelter. There are only 360 beds. So you can see this is an extremely high risk place. We also have the youth detention center, which so I definitely am concerned about both of these high risk areas. I don't know exactly how we go about doing anything other than trying to provide these PPEs to these places and making sure that these safe practices are observed at both places. I would love to see all nonviolent offenders at the youth detention center also released, because I know that prisons are nearly impossible to avoid contact if it were to spread.
Exactly. And also,
was-
what are they doing with the residents of the shelter?
They are allowed to stay there throughout the day. So that has changed. Before, the men were not allowed to stay at the shelter. They were actually required, if the weather permitted, to be out. You often will see the guys hanging at Lewis Crow Park over on the corner of Capitol and Mount Olivet, or West Virginia and Mount Olivet. So it is just something that Ivy City has definitely two high risk areas. Thing that could affect the community, because there is not much we can do about containing this when it's kind of all around us.
All right.
But
Thank
Malik, I would
you.
love to hear.
Okay, thanks, Sabrina. We're gonna move on to our next question from, and excuse me for your butchering your last name in advance, Kim. I hope that's right. Kim, we can't hear you. Hello?
Is Kim, are you
I
there?
see you.
Oh,
Okay, there we go.
Can
Thank you
be-
so much. You know, that's great. I was just wondering when the next window is going to open for the hiring the next round of applicants for contact tracing, because I know it was just a couple of days.
Yeah, so
Malik?
they're bringing in supervisors right now. So I guess once they train the supervisor and everything like that, then a second round of contact trace force would definitely be, well, start the process of getting hired.
And
Okay.
Malik,
I'm not
follow up
sure
with
like
that
a
question.
specific-
Do you have any basic qualifications for the position?
No, I don't think you need any qualifications. I guess just be a DC resident.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to comment, we had a call with some of the ANC commissioners to talk about some of the issues around contact tracing, and they really are looking to have DC residents apply. They've had people, apply from as far away as Texas, I think, one of the comments was. So the focus is really on hiring DC residents. So please do apply. Okay, that's the last of the hands I see raised, and I don't see any questions in the chat. So thank you to Malik, and then we'll hear from Captain Merrill, who is
Commissioner
heading
Moore.
up our. Go
Commissioner
ahead.
Moore, I just want
Yes.
to know from Mr. Miller. Now, do you need a doctor's referral for the testing? That's a little confusing. You call and they say you need a doctor's referral. Then we see on the news saying anyone who wants to have a test can have a test in DC.
Yes, I think so. Some sites are just walk up, and other sites you have to, already have an appointment from your doctor, or you have to have a referral.
Okay.
Okay, the Howard University site that's owned by Unity, that is a no doctor referral site. Is that correct? The Unity
The Howard
site,
University site, Mr. Miller.
correct.
Oh yes, that's walk up. That's walk up.
Correct.
You don't need
And the
a you don't
rest
need a
of them-
referral for that one.
Right, and the rest of them you need something.
Right. And there may be some it may be some in Ward 7 and Ward 8 where you can walk up at, but they stay all of those on coronavirus.dc.gov.
All righty.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Okay, all right. And then we do have Captain Jerome Merrill on the line, and he is our summer crime captain.
Go ahead, Captain Miller. Morrell.
Captain Merrill, we can't hear you if you're speaking.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Maybe if you turn your device up.
All right, some audio issues.
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Is that better?
Yes and no.
Yeah, there's two. I think there might be two devices signed on.
Moved up, so maybe just moved up.
I think you have two devices going, so if you'll just mute one of them.
Is this better?
Yes, it
Yes.
is.
Perfect.
Hello? Is this better?
Yes, yes, it is.
Much.
Okay, I'm going to be the Sector 3 captain this summer with the SCI. I usually am the Sector 1 captain, which is North Capitol and the New York Avenue area. So I am learning Sector 3 now. But we won the Summer Crime Initiative last year in 7D in Congress Heights. So hopefully we can bring that winning formula to 5D, and hopefully we can win this year the Crime Reduction Award as well. So I'm looking forward to meeting everyone. Great strides, met a lot of people in the community, and looking forward to meeting everyone else. And I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, and I don't see any hands raised right now, but just to remind people that, you know, we do have that function. So if you do have questions about crime in the area, or some of the strategies being used to fight some of the recent crime we've seen, especially during the pandemic and being closed in at home, you can raise your hand and ask those questions. Commissioner Lee, I see that you're first up for a question if you want to go ahead and ask.
Yes, I just want to know, we had a couple of folks that were found deceased at Queen and West Virginia Avenue. It was supposed to be possibly a drug overdose, but I never got a follow-up from council member's office. Do you have any information on that?
Unfortunately, I don't. When was this at Queen? That's not part of the SCI, but it is Sector 3. I'm not sure.
Right.
Of
It was last
overdose.
week. Well,
Yeah,
that's what the
I'm not
alleged
sure.
was over. Okay,
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not exactly aware of that one.
that's okay. How long have you been on as the captain here? When did you come aboard? Okay, you just got here.
Right.
Yeah, I
Okay.
literally just got here. I'm serious. I
That's
just got here.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we do have one question on the line here, and I think this probably speaks for a lot of people, from Catherine Baradas. Would like some information, Ari, the homicide at H Street Northeast from this week.
Yeah, I'm very familiar with that. What information are you looking for?
Just details about what took place, why, you know, any information that's public that you can share with us at this time.
Well, we're pretty sure that it's due from the 21st of Maryland and the Langston Terrace crew beef. I'm not sure exactly how many details I can provide you with. I can tell you that in Langston Circle, there were 2 people shot. One of them was killed. His name was Lowell Tolliver. He was deceased. The other male is at this time. And then about 10 minutes after that happened, shooting occurred at 21st and I Street, which we think that was retaliation from the Langston Terrace shooting. So the detectives are working hard on that case. We got a lot of good leads on it, and we're confident that we'll be able to solve both of those.
Okay. And then the follow-up here says is that many of us heard that there was an shootings. Was that unrelated?
Yes, that was unrelated.
Okay. I
Yes,
do have a
Commissioner
question.
Motley.
So if I could just go ahead and ask, because it's a follow-up to this one. In terms of some of the activity that we're seeing, a lot more of the street life type activity coming back, especially during this time period when we're all at home. And a lot of these scary incidents are happening during the daytime hours when people need to, you know, make a trip to the grocery store or the pharmacy. And you're seeing large groups of guys hanging out. Some of the open air drug market, you know, year or so, really, in some spots are now, you know, coming back up again. And you're seeing lots of people gathered together. Is there, you know, a strategy in place? I think a lot of people are in favor of foot patrols, but what kind of strategies are what we're seeing going on outside our windows?
First off, if you see a large gathering, you need to call us because we're definitely dispersing those gatherings.
Yeah.
If you don't get the right, you don't get the police service like you feel you need, then definitely call me or send me an email, and I'll definitely be on top of it. But we have been breaking up large gatherings. We have noticed that the crime is happening during the day as well. We have a lot more presence in the SCI. There's a lot more. We have a lot more officers in the area. I don't know. We can't exactly explain, why it's happening during the day and why it's happening at night. We can't really tell the coalition with that, but we do see a slight uptick of crime during the day. That's why we have increased our officers that work during the day. So we are trying to adjust to that trend. But I can't say that's one thing or the other. But if you do see large crowds gathering, then that is not acceptable, and call the police immediately, please.
So I have one follow-up here, which is that last week I saw about 20 to 30 people at 21st and I Street, and there was already an MPD car there. And so I did call 911 just to, make sure that there was going to be a response to that. But I was disappointed to see that there was already a car on site and not seeing a response without me calling 911.
Well, we were there. We knew that crowd was there. That's why we had the police car there. That was an organized function. That was something that was done by someone in the mayor's office. So it was something that we were aware of. That's why we had an officer there. So that's why we made an officer there, so there was no danger to you all. But we were aware of that gathering, and it was for a special occasion.
So somebody did an event with 20 or 30 people during a pandemic? I thought the limit is 10 people.
It wasn't an event, ma'am. It was something that was due to violence. It's something that we were doing.
Okay, so what is the limit? And this is a question from Salvador Sauceda Guzman. What is the large gathering? What is the definition that we're using right now?
10 or more people.
Okay.
All right,
any other questions?
Commissioner Motley,
Go ahead, Commissioner Motley.
Is it okay to go ahead?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Hello and welcome, Captain. This is Commissioner Steve Motley. I'm up here on 21st and Maryland Avenue. Although you may not see the guys that's hanging out on the sidewalk, they're back up in the courts now, on the private property, And so they still out here. I imagine they don't want to be out on the sidewalk for safety reasons. But so I called in today and I got no response.
So when you called the police, so you're saying you called the police and no one responded out there? What time was this?
Correct. And
what time was this?
And resident manager. To be honest with you, I can't remember.
Yeah, well, it's not our practice to not respond to calls. So I would be interested. I'd be curious to know what happened on that.
Right. Right.
So if you can tell me what time that call occurred, or what address you were calling from, I'll follow up on it.
To be honest with you, I can't remember. But the point I mean, they're still up here. You just can't see them.
Okay, if you could just send me the address or where they're hanging at. If you can just let me know where they're hanging at, and I'll make sure.
21st Street.
Okay, so we do have a hand raised from Sabrina Rhodes. Sabrina, you're next up.
Yeah, when Captain, when you guys disperse large groups, do you sit there and make sure that is dispersed completely, or do you just stay dispersed and then you leave and they come back? Because we know that we were told by the mayor that there will be no policing of people, of gatherings and making people wear masks, but we're noticing in different neighborhoods that there are gatherings. So are you guys making sure that they leave and completely leave so that residents can be safe as far as the social distancing, or you just make them disperse and then you go away and then they come right back? How's that working out?
No, the officer, they're instructed to stay on the scene until the crowd disperse. And when we have those large gatherings, the sergeant is supposed to respond out as well. So they are supposed to stay on the scene until they disperse.
And then
Yeah.
once they disperse for like 5 minutes, then they come back, then what?
Well, then we're supposed to check on them and make sure that they're not coming back.
Yeah, I think that that's probably a real point of frustration for a lot of us, because it's not sort of a one-off event that we're seeing or just a simple activity. You know, I'm seeing 20 or 30 people, you know, more frequently than I should be at the corner of 21st and I Street. And so that's,
All
you
right,
know,
well, if you see
we're
those people
calling-
there,
And
Yeah. We're
You can
calling
call me.
911 and we're seeing a response, but the response is somewhat limited. And I think that that's something that's happening, you know, in a lot of our neighborhoods.
all right, well, I'll look into that.
Okay, thank you.
And
Okay,
I
I
had
don't
one
see any
last
more hands
question.
raised from the public.
Commissioner Moore, I had one last question for Captain Merrill.
Sure.
There was actually a shooting while we were having our last ANC meeting right outside of my window while kids were playing on the street. This happened, I believe, on the 15th or 14th of April, whenever our meeting was. And I was just wondering if what you had to update on that shooting, if anyone was apprehended, if the person did survive. That's what I was given. I spoke with Detective Rutter, and he had suggested that the person was going to survive. So just wanted to see if there was anything else you had on that.
Like I said, I just arrived here May 1st. So where was the shooting located at?
Central Place in Ivy City.
I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, all right, I don't see any more hands raised.
Okay. Did anyone else show up from Councilman McDuffie's office, Commissioner Moore?
I don't see anyone from the council member's office. So if we want to move into voting items.
Yes. First on the list is the public space permit for Miggs Place and Blainsburg Road Northeast. They are completing the apartment house there, or they're doing some staging there. They wanted to use the sidewalk. Anybody have any questions about that spot there?
No.
No.
I guess,
Just informing us.
Yeah. I mean, I guess
go ahead, Ms.
the only thing I want to point out is that it seems obvious that that will be dependent upon the reopening and the reopening procedures.
For Miggs Place?
For the use of the sidewalks.
What? Yeah, temporary closure, when it's going to happen.
Right.
And that's space. But construction has been going pretty fast, I've been noticing. On the few projects on the Delta Towers, which was closed too, and it seems like they're moving forward. That's not as large a project, but they didn't give a timeline of when they will reopen. But they do have the safety guidelines for the public walking by. Any other questions? It does not require, I believe, a vote from all the commissioners. I'm trying to look that up. It's just that I want to inform the commissioners and the community that that's what was happening at this time, and they requested you block the sidewalk just like all the other construction projects on Blainsburg Road. And that, like I said, that's at Blainsburg and Miggs Place. So is any objections from my commissioners?
No, I don't have an objection.
All I'd just like to make a motion that I'm going to support the closure of the sidewalk for the construction. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
I second.
All right, that's a second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 And that passes.
Aye.
Commissioner Motley. That passes 5-0. Thank you.
Aye.
What's next on that agenda? Commissioner
The
Moore.
next- Sure. So the next item on our agenda is the Transportation Committee Chair. We did form a Transportation Committee. We did select an ANC co-chair. But as many of you know, Commissioner Burkett resigned several months ago. And so we need to replace him as the ANC co-chair on that committee. And there's one ANC co-chair and one public member. And we are going to start trying to work to select public members for several of our committees. And so I would like to nominate Commissioner Linehan to take over the ANC co-chair position on that committee.
I'll second that nomination.
All right. Well, I'm honored. I accept.
Okay. Well, thank you
As
very
we
much.
also do. That doesn't require a vote, does it, commissioners?
Yes, it does.
Let's see it. Oh, okay. Well, okay. All those in favor, Commissioner. Well, do we have any other nominations? Okay, with no other nominations, all those in favor of Commissioner Linehan for being the ANC co-chair for the Transportation Committee, signify by saying aye.
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 That passes 5-0. Commissioner Moore, you're up again.
So we had an executive administrator, as many of you will remember, we hired an executive administrator just at the beginning of the pandemic. Unfortunately, she also works at a hospital. And so her hours at her day job have become overwhelming, as I'm sure you can understand. And so we would like to replace our executive administrator immediately. And we do have an ANC 5D resident, Caberlin Jones, who will be working with us as our new executive administrator as soon as we vote her in. So I move that we select Caberlin Jones as our executive administrator.
I second.
All those in favor of confirming Ms. Jones, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner
Is
Motley.
Ms. Jones?
I said aye.
Okay. All right, that passes. Is Ms. Jones on, Commissioner Moore?
I don't see her if she is on. Well, we've got quite a long list of folks here, so not surprising. I don't
Okay,
see
well,
her.
just like to say, because she's on, let's congratulate her and thank her and welcome her aboard.
Yes, thank you.
All right.
And then many of you will remember, so these two items are related, that we did vote to support purchasing supplies for volunteers in our community who are making face shields. And that volunteer project is being led up by Kevin Horgan, who's a Trinidad resident. The public library is offering to let us use their 3D printers since they're not currently in use by the library. They are publicly available printers that anyone could have access to as part of the library services under normal circumstances. And so they're making that available again. And so we're working with Kevin to first say that, we're supporting this. And then we're setting up a separate agreement with Kevin to say that, yes, he'll use them and be responsible in using them and use them only for the purpose of making these 3D printed face shields at this time. So on the first agreement and us accepting the ability to the library loan for 3D printers, I move that we accept that generous offer from DC Public Library. If I could get a second on that. This is DC's
Second.
Public Library.
Seconded by Commissioner Linhan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And that passes 5-0. And then
Correct.
Commissioner Moore with the
4-0.
volunteers.
Yes, so then now we're making an agreement with the volunteers to be responsible for the printers and only use them for the purposes of making this 3D printed face shield during this this time of pandemic enclosure for DC Public Library. So if I could get a vote in favor of allowing the volunteers to responsibly use these 3D printers, I'd like to vote in support of that.
I'll second that
second.
motion. All those in favor
Okay.
signify by saying aye.
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 That motion passes 5-0.
Okay, the
And
next item we have
next-
is still me. But we needed to make some changes due to some changes in the ANC law to our bylaws. So we had to change several things because our bylaws didn't include a tiebreaker. So now that tiebreaker is, thanks to Commissioner Linehan, paper, rock, scissors, and an explanation of how to play paper, rock, scissors for our tiebreaker. So I guess that's a little bit better than a coin toss. We also changed some of our rules so that, in case that we lose our treasurer, which did happen to us this year, our treasurer resigned, that the secretary would automatically be able to step into that role. And that's something that's very important for us because we do employ people now. We just hired an executive administrator and we do have other people who do tasks for us. And the ANC commission is not allowed to spend money if we don't have the treasurer. So we have to have that spot filled at all times.
So I second.
Yeah, yeah.
And that motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 What are we
Motion
voting
passes
again?
5-0.
That the position be filled at all times?
Commissioner Motley?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, aye.
Okay, and then one item, so we had a good comment here. On our agenda, we do list the pay for our executive administrator, but I just want to make sure that we also vote on her compensation. So we list her compensation as $15 an hour or $1 more than the DC minimum wage. And as many of you know, that's escalating over a period of time often. So we want to be at least a dollar above that. So I move that we also accept her rate of pay.
Yes, I second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And that motion passes 5-0. Commissioner Linhan.
So yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, we didn't vote on accepting the bylaws. Did we?
I think we
Commissioner,
did
we
but
vote
we
on?
can vote again.
Yes.
Okay.
So we had some feedback on the sound.
Okay. So that motion was given by Commissioner Moore, and I think I second the motion. I'll second it now with the acceptance of the change in the bylaws. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, now it's official, 5-0 to accept the changes in the bylaws. Commissioner Linhan, go ahead.
Yes. So I wanted to request from MPD a camera at the corner of Corcoran and Gallaudet. I get daily complaints from residents in that area complaining. There's been a few shootings this year that have happened during the daylight. So just wanted to hear my residents' concern and request an MPD camera at the corner of Corcoran and Gallaudet.
Commissioner Linhan, can I add something to that?
Sure.
Friendly amendment. Can we, in your motion, can we approve, especially for the summer, if there's a cost that's associated with I don't know what we would cap it as to make sure that you get the camera. You know, if it's a budget item for the police department, can we approve? I don't know how to set an amount, but commissioners, would you want to put a limit to say that we could support it financially to get that camera up and running as soon as possible?
I would support that. My only comment is I know that there was a recent change to some of the ANC law, and I do see Mr. Simon from the Office of the ANC on here, so maybe he could help
he's
us
on.
out. Yeah, so I know there was a change to our ability to fund certain things that duplicate a government service. But I'm not sure whether that would have to be through the grant process or how that would work. But I do support the idea.
I also support it. It's just that he's saying that different things can't change until the government opens back up. I don't know if that applies.
Okay.
Do you think, Mr. Simon, I saw one message from him.
I did too. I'm not seeing the ability to call on him.
Okay.
Don't know if he's still here.
So what we could do is we could make a motion to support both of those cameras pending, approval of that in concert with the Office of the ANC.
Sure.
Yeah, right, because, yes, okay. Seconded by Commissioner Motley. What's the other location, Commissioner Motley?
Oh, no, that was Commissioner Lanham.
No, oh, it's just one location?
So there's
Yeah,
one location for Commissioner Linehan, and then there was another location that we voted on either last month or the month before for 21st.
Okay, we already know. All right.
And I was just keeping
Okay.
the same language as we had from the previous.
Oh, yeah, well, there's one at 21st in Maryland. It's just that I don't know if they ever do anything with it. You know, it's there.
Mhm.
So-
That was a request from us.
So could you restate the motion, Commissioner Linehan, with any adjustments?
So you would like to state that we could financially support this, or should we keep the language as
Yes.
it was?
To financially support it, pending approval from the Office of ANC.
Okay. So we are requesting a camera at the corner of Gallaudet and Corcoran, pending approval of budget so that we can support this expenditure if MPD would not support it already without us spending for it. I'm sorry, that wasn't very clear, but I thought the language
That's
was
clear.
from the previous one. Okay.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
All right.
Yeah,
Sorry.
okay, and I'll second that motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes 5-0. Next on the agenda,
All right, and then
is the the map amended folks, are they online, Commissioner Moore?
yes, I've got Mr. Swiller. You're next up here, so I just promoted you to a panelist. So whenever you're ready, you can turn on your video if you'd like to. And let us know if you have anyone else who needs to speak as part of your group.
And Mr.
Yes,
Swiller, you
Commissioner
have,
Moore.
you
Hi,
have
everyone.
8 minutes
Yes.
to make your presentation.
We have 8 minutes. Thank
All
you,
right.
sir. I do want to add Jared Kahn and Anthony
Go ahead.
Williams.
Okay.
I will share my screen if that's okay. We have 5 quick slides that we would like to
Yes.
present.
Go ahead.
Okay. If you're going to be the guy sharing the screen, I'm going to go ahead and promote you now so that you can do that. So you'll see that pop up on your screen.
Thanks so much.
Uh-huh.
Where's play from start? Great. All right. Well, we have Jared here below. Jared, you want to say a quick hi and kick it off?
Sure, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Jared Kahn. I want to thank Commissioner Moore and ANC 5D for inviting us to speak tonight. We're here to discuss our project located at 1801 through 1809 Maryland Avenue Northeast. First, I want to briefly introduce my team. So we'll make it really brief and jump right in because I know we only have 8 minutes. Commissioner Moore, is it possible we could get Anthony Williams?
Yes, I can see him.
Okay, great.
Right.
Anthony, please introduce yourself to everyone.
Hello, my name is Anthony Williams. I'm a lifelong Washingtonian. I'm also a business owner of Answer LLC Design. I've rehabbed many homes in Washington, D.C. and condos and also around the metropolitan area. And I'm extremely excited about our project on Maryland Avenue.
Thanks, Anthony. Sam, will you?
Yeah, sure. I'm Sam Swoller. I guess 12 years now. I've been a resident and I work and have owned real estate property in Ward 5. I work for Gallaudet University as the director of real estate. So I oversee all campus planning and real estate development at the school. In fact, I was here a few weeks ago on the screen as part of the JBG Smith presentation on their project in Union Market. I've also personally been developed roughly a few dozen residential units in Ward 5. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, guys. I'm Jared. I moved to DC about 20 years ago, and for most of that time, I've been involved in the real estate industry. Prior to pursuing my own projects, I worked at a few different real estate developers, focusing on mixed-use urban infill projects.
I'm going to do that right.
Sorry. Okay, let me get back. And I also worked in the deputy mayor's office under the Fenty and Gray administrations. So with several projects focused on Northeast DC as well. So without further ado, let me jump into the presentation. So why are we here? We're pursuing a zoning map amendment application to the Zoning Commission for the 3 adjacent lots you see on your screen. Currently, there's 2 different zoning classifications. There's MU7 as well as RA2 across the lots. Our objectives are to develop a project that will enhance the community, fulfill the mayor's goals of housing production, while being consistent with the comprehensive plan, the future land use map, and fitting in with the surrounding neighborhood fabric. So before this meeting, we presented at the zoning committee in April and received favorable feedback. And so we wanted to share some progress of where we are and answer any questions. So just to orient you outside of these 3 lots, as you can see to the left, going towards Starburst and west, you see the Aldi. So it's a very large commercial lot with a large grocery store there with the MU7 zoning as well. And further into the neighborhood is all residential, multifamily units. And 18 at bookend at the end is 1825 Maryland, which is roughly a 30-unit, 4-story building, and that makes up the block. Sam, could you go to, oh, sorry, before I go on, a little bit about the units. All 18 units on our site are all 1-bedroom dens, very typical of what was developed in the 50s in the neighborhood. There's no retail space, there's no off-street parking. It's straight multifamily units. Okay, Sam, would you mind going to the next slide, please? Thanks. On this slide, what we're showing here is focused on transit options as well as proximate surroundings in the neighborhood. So it's a fairly transit-oriented site. Outside, right outside on the curb is a bus stop. You can catch the X8 or you can take a quick walk about 5 to 7 minutes to Starburst and catch the streetcar, or directly south down 17th, and as well as get other bus lines as well. On the map, we highlighted some of the major properties in the surrounding areas. Flats at Atlas, which is finishing up second phase, which is delivering roughly 320 units. No retail, just multifamily rental. The Aldi and the Heckinger Mall, which is everyone should be fairly familiar with that. And then lastly, to the just to the across the street is 1701H, which is a improved PUD that will deliver 184 units approximately with ground floor retail. So it will be the first mixed use building in quite some time in the neighborhood that recently won their appeal, and hopefully we'll be breaking ground soon on the 180 units retail with an FAR of 6 and a height of 90 feet. Sam, would you mind jumping to the next slide? This slide is focusing on the street width and the scale of our block. Maryland Avenue is what the Office of Planning refers to as a grand avenue. It's much wider than most streets in Washington, D.C., but not only is the width what sets it apart, on each side of the street, the properties have a 20-foot building restriction line. So you'll see on the slide at each side of it, there's what we're referring to as the BRL. And so even though that's technically private property, it functions as public space, and you can't develop on it. So it from side to side, from property to property, it's 130 feet, which is not that common in the district. I think that it basically allows for lots of trees, greenery, but it also allows for a lot of natural light to fill that corridor as well. This slide is just a high-level overview of RA4, which is the new zoning classification we'd like to introduce to the site that doesn't exist there. Right now it's MU7 and RA2, and RA4 would be the new zoning classification on 1805 and 1809 Maryland. So basically, the FAR for RA4 is 3.5. With the inclusionary zoning, it goes via bonus density to 4.2, carries a height of 90 feet, and it's consistent with our comprehensive plan and future land use map designation of medium density residential and commercial. Sam, will you jump to the next slide, please? Okay, so this last slide shows the context of our block from right to left on the slide, or from the Starburst intersection heading east. There's a significant steep grade on Maryland Avenue. So to the left side of this, or east, 1825 Maryland, it's a 4-level multifamily property, but on a much higher elevation, making it feel more like a 5 or 6-story building. One of our goals is to establish a smooth transition between the Aldi and the neighborhood that will enable us to deliver on all the objectives that we mentioned earlier, while echoing some of the objectives in ANC 5D's map amendment zoning case, I believe it was number 19-30, that recently submitted, keeping and concentrating mixed use developments along the primary transit corridors of the neighborhood. And so with that, that wraps up our presentation. We wanted to make sure that we had enough time to answer all questions, but please feel free to reach out to us directly if you have any questions that come up later. We have not yet filed, but we hope to do so soon, and we plan on returning again, but ultimately we would like to get your support for our project and move forward.
And so I know, and this is just an error in the agenda. I know this was listed as a voting item for this evening. Or no, actually, I think this is just listed as a presentation, but it would be a voting item at our next meeting. So if anyone has questions, now is a great time to ask. If you want to offer feedback, you can use the raise your hand function, and that function's at the bottom of your screen. You can also click where it says Q&A if you want to type an answer as well. I do see that we have Deborah with a question. So Deborah, you're able to speak now if you'd like to share with us.
It's been an issue in the ANC discussions in the past that one bedrooms are less desirable in our community because they're not amenable to families. I'm wondering what the reasoning is for making all of the apartments one bedroom.
Sure. Thanks for your question. So our unit mix is going to be far more diverse. The only reason that there's only one bedroom in dens currently is because that was the condition that we acquired the buildings in. Our plan is to have a much more diverse unit mix going forward.
Okay, thank you, Deborah. We have a typed out question here from Andrew Grimberg. Would the proposed project use the full 90 feet of height allowed under the new zone?
That's a good question. It largely depends on when the project would deliver. At the moment, we are still in early architectural studies and we've done massing. Presumably we would if we had it. However, given the timeline, we'd have to assess the costs that were involved, and we may, depending on the construction and the economic environment, pivot. But at the moment, our assumption would be that we would use the full height.
Yeah, just to add to that, over 1801, the height limit is 65 feet. So we are working within those limits.
Okay, I don't
I have a question there. Do they have a hearing date? Do you guys have a hearing date?
Not yet. We were planning to present tonight and at the next meeting, and then understanding where we were, submit our application soon.
Okay, so we might not be voting on this next month then if it's a later hearing. We don't meet in June, in July and August. Our next meeting will be September. So we would need to know the hearing as soon as possible if you have a hearing date to get on the agenda.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Commissioner Moore.
And just my question to you guys, you're looking to file a map amendment with ANC support so that the process works a bit differently under that under the zoning commission rules.
That's
so
right.
Would that have anything to do with the hearing date? Because since the BZA is not holding hearings yet.
So this wouldn't be a BZA case. This would be, since it's a map amendment, it would go to the zoning commission. And then once they filed the application, they'd receive a date. So I think what they're looking to do is to get our support, because it changes the zoning commission process on map amendments if you have ANC support versus whether you don't. So it'll be contested or uncontested.
And so we will be voting for this on June with a follow-up vote when you get a hearing.
Right. Right.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't see any additional questions there.
Okay.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes, that was quite timely also.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Right.
We tried. Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Moore.
Okay. All right. And so we're going to have Nando Alvarez.
Sorry, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hey, Nando.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me. And thank you to Commissioner Ryan Lanham for inviting me. I really appreciate this time, and I will try to um, just be true to my time. Let me share. Sorry, can I share my screen, please?
Yes, I'm gonna
Yeah.
promote you.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure. It's just taking a second here to go.
Okay.
So while we wait, just a little backstory. I met Nando through his work with DC Libraries. They did a feature on Ivy City. So I got to see some of Nando's work, and I was very impressed in the way he shared the story of Ivy City. So that is what brought us together. And Nando, thank you for joining us.
Hey, thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah, so my name is Nando Alvarez. I've been living in Washington, D.C. for around 6 years, specifically in the Northeast area and Trinidad neighborhood. I'm originally from Ecuador. I'm a visual artist, and I've been working with many grassroots organizations here in DC, especially working around like projects of art that involve the community. So that this has allowed me to get to know the city, get to know the culture, and I'm deeply grateful to the city and to the people of this city for all the generosity and having this opportunity. It's really meaningful to me. So let me just show you a little bit of my work. This is a project that Ryan was talking about before. This is an exhibition that we created with the people from the DC Public Library and the people from the Maryland Institute College of Art. So it was exhibition that lasted more than 4 months about Ivy City. I was the person in charge of creating the art and all the design that was around this exhibition. And it was like it was a great opportunity to learn about Ivy City and the history and all the background of this neighborhood. I've been doing some work on painting, on illustration, on screen printing, and other items of other forms of visual art. So this is a little bit of my work. And let me show the proposal that we have for the meeting room. So I saw that you have beautiful white walls that I think will be great to put some art on it. And just to tell you a little bit of what I was trying to achieve to create these two sketches and proposals for the murals, is that to convey the sense of community and try to connect kind of the past, the tradition, and where is everything coming from in the city, and also kind of with the new aspects of what is the new phase of the city, what we are experiencing now. So this is just a sketch, but I hope it gives you an idea and a sense of the what I'm trying to achieve. So the central figure is Reverend Alexander Cromell, and I learned about him through these years working in Ivy City and with organizations as Empower DC. And this man, my personal, and I think a lot of people share this opinion with me, that he deserves kind of a monument in the city. This was a great man. An abolitionist, kind of the mentor of Frederick Douglass and W. Du Bois. So I think if we kind of have a monument in the city, at least we will have a mural that kind of honors him in a way that he deserves. And hopefully in the future, there is an actual monument in the city. So also I tried to incorporate, and this is, by the way, this is the back mural. This mural is 12 feet tall by 19 feet long. So this is how it will look, kind of, and the distribution, and this is the back wall, so you have an idea. It also incorporates a little bit of Union Market and Gallaudet, and also I tried to make it incorporate Spanish, English, and also ESL, kind of like, represent the whole community. So this is the back wall. This is the side wall. I will show you in a second which wall I'm referring to. But this one, I also was learning about the history of this other neighborhoods, the Carver Langston. And I think these two men also were amazing people. Their histories are very grateful. Carver was considered one of the most brilliant scientists of the United States. And also Mr. I forgot his whole name, Mr. Langston. So he was also an abolitionist, and he was dean of law and Howard School. So I think he deserves also kind of these two icons of DC, of DC culture, of the United States culture. And for Trinidad, which is the neighborhood I'm living in, I tried to represent a little bit the future, kind of the youth and the children. So this is kind of what I was trying to connect it to the two aspects of the future and the past, and where everything is coming. And this is the side wall that I'm referring to, is next to the door. So that's what I was trying to convey with these two murals. And also the budget that I'm estimating for this work is it's going to take 150 hours. It's going to be hand painted, and the fare for each hour is $60. So that and the materials, purchasing all the paint, art quality acrylic paint, and all the supplies that is needed to complete this task is going to be around $1,000. So the total project is going to be around $10,000. It's going to take from 15 to 20 days. It's a little bit tricky now because all the art stores are closed. So all the materials have to be ordered, and that gets a little bit more difficult to measure the time how it's going to take if I have to wait for something, if I run out of something. So yeah, and I just want to leave you with this image that is maybe in the future. Just some previous idea that we had for this other wall, but I think this might be for the future where we can include other photographers and other artists from the neighborhood. Yeah, so thank you so much, and please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you, Nando.
Yeah, sure. I have one question here, is that I see the drawings. Would that be, would everything be in sort of a blue scale, or would there be different colors?
Oh yeah, thank you for your question. Yeah, that is, the blue is just because it's a sketch. So it's a quick draft that I made. But the mural is going to be in full color, and it will look more like the first examples of my work that I show at the beginning. So yeah, this is kind of a quick sketch that I made just to give you a sense of the placement and the different elements.
Okay.
And I see you incorporated, I'm the Trinidad commissioner. I see you incorporated Trinidad into Carver Langston, and we're kind of separate by ourselves, being special. So more something to interpret Trinidad in itself, not combine it, because we're three neighborhoods, and that would, I see you trying to merge us in there with a street sign, but more because Trinidad, the Wheatley Elementary School was the first school to desegregate in the country. before Brown versus Board of Education. So that's our little history right there in the Trinidad area. And so maybe something
Oh,
more
that's
for
great.
Trinidad. And so we had 3 distinct neighborhoods and 3 different history points of view. So yes, with Langston Hughes and George Washington Carver, but Carver Langston, and especially Samuel Cromwell, because we want to keep that school as a school, you know, that's my goal. But to give Trinidad a little separate recognition.
Yeah, I actually would agree with you there, Commissioner Lee. I love that Ivy City's been represented. I think that also goes to show Nando's maybe exposure to Ivy City and his previous projects. But I would really like to see maybe where these pictures are, maybe Trinidad featured on that side, or vice versa, Carver Langston on one wall and Trinidad on the opposite, and then Ivy City, Union Market, Gallaudet all on the back wall. I don't know if that would be feasible in your budget. I know that maybe it was just a time constraint on your sketches, but I think I mean I would absolutely. You've heard me say how ugly these white walls are, but I mean they're pristine for an artist. So I would absolutely love to see a project like this move forward. Of course, I would love to see every neighborhood implemented equally. And I know Trinidad. I think you have 3 commissioners in for Trinidad. So definitely want to make sure that you're getting some representation in Trinidad. But yeah, definitely would love to see all of these historical figures like John Mercer Langston and George Washington Carver, and of course Alexander Crummell. But yes, if there is a Trinidad individual that Commissioner Lee or any of the other commissioners feel should be represented, I mean, Nando, I trust after I've seen your work, you can bring something to life. Obviously, this is maybe just a rough sketch right now, and it can be something that becomes more formalized as you're approaching these projects. But would love to see if that would be something that we could do too.
And also, I just as I'm thinking about it too, this is the perfect time because we won't be back into the office.
It'd be a
we're
beautiful
hoping we'll all
surprise.
be back. We're hoping we'll be there September, but that is you definitely would have 3 months to do it, at least 3 months to get it on the wall.
It'd be such a great gift for the community too, going back into that.
When we come back to the office in September. So as we is this a voting item, Commissioner Leonard?
Given it's a spending, I think we would have to vote to make a move on this. I mean, I would be ready to vote, but if you all would like to table this until next, we can.
I mean, what's the? I know I just heard he had to order the paints and everything. So, oh, is there any community, Commissioner Moore?
I don't see any questions from the community right now. And just to remind folks, oh, actually, I do see one raised hand here too.
I see 2 now.
Okay, so Deborah, if you want to go ahead and share what you're thinking.
Thank you for inviting me again. My general comment has to do with the, I mean, I think that using the whole wall is really great. I'm concerned about it in being in full color, that it will be overpowering in that room where the walls are quite high in relation to the floor area. And I'm just concerned about the art and I really appreciate your approach and I appreciate your style. I'm concerned about the art being so dominant that it's a little hard to focus on the business at hand. And so I did have one suggestion. I really like the blue. And the effects that you get with the various densities. And I wonder about having something like the blue as a background color and then using 1 or 2 other colors to create depth and you know, help to focus attention. The thing that comes immediately to mind is the Obama poster from his first run, where I think it was brown, blue, and red. So graphically, it created a very dynamic composition, but it wasn't in full color. I just tend to think that the full color over the whole wall is very suitable for outdoors, but I'm just concerned that it would be quite a strong statement for indoors. Thank you.
So I do, thank you, Deborah. I did want to say that this art will be on the two side walls and the wall behind us. So we will be on a blank white wall. We won't be too distracted by it. Maybe we will, the commissioners looking out to you all and the art behind you. But I do, of course, appreciate, and I think we all do, Shepard Fairey and his art. Obviously, Shepard Fairey would not be doing his art in our space. So I would always defer to the artist to implement their own vision rather than trying to mimic another artist.
Okay, we've got, next up, we've got Sabrina Rhodes.
Hey, Nando. Can you hear me,
Hey,
Nando?
Sabrina.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey,
He,
nice to hear you.
yeah, I'm one of the residents in Ivy City he worked with, and he's a very humble and talented artist, and I'm just excited to see your work again. But I just had a statement. He's very, very good at what he does and very humble.
Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you, Sabrina.
That's
For the vote
all.
of support.
Okay, and then we
Kevin?
have one more. We've got Kevin Horgan.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Hi.
Yes,
by
we
the way,
can.
Nando, I love the idea of art. I love the idea of putting art in a room. My question is more technical. The acoustics in that room are horrible. So is there a way, while you're doing the art, that the art could be on some sort of acoustic panels to improve the sound? Because the sound in that room is really difficult to hear. So in parallel to doing and adding amazing art to the space, is there a way we could also improve the acoustics at the same time? And that's my question.
Now that might be a different thing to, I mean, we obviously could try to build something into the wall to absorb that, but I think it might be easiest maybe to get some of those pads to put on the ceiling. And maybe around the room we could mount some of those. But I obviously don't want to hinder the art. Nando, that would be something I would turn to you if you think you can implement some kind of soundproofing into your art. That would be great, but
Okay.
Okay, thanks,
All right.
Kevin. I think that's the last thing I see from folks.
Okay, well, we thank Nando for the presentation. And I think we just might want to wait till next month or to vote.
how does everyone feel?
As far as, I like to sit on it.
I'd like to look into that acoustic panel idea, because I think the acoustics are terrible in that room, and so it would be helpful if we could do sort of two things at once and have some really nice artwork, you know, on top of the helping with the sound issues.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again,
so we'll table this
Mr.
for next
Alvarez.
month.
I'm glad you can. Yes.
Thank you, Nando.
Okay, Commissioner Moore.
So we
last item.
do have, yeah, thank you. So we do have one more item, which is just a quick announcement from the PEPCO Community Advisory Group. So we do have, or at least I just saw him on and now I don't, Ronald Lester here this evening. So I'm gonna go ahead and promote him to a panelist so that he can share with us. Mr. Lester, you're able to speak now if you want to go ahead and
Okay.
share.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you. I'm with the Community Advisory Road Plant for PEPCO. We meet every month with PEPCO. It consists of about 15 ANC organizations, civic associations, and environmental groups. And we meet with PEPCO every month to talk about the remedial investigation and feasibility study. They finished the first part, the remedial investigation, where they went into the river and landside and identified hot spots that had some degree of contamination. And in the second phase, the feasibility study, they will ameliorate and they will basically clean everything up. So the feasibility study is scheduled to begin in September or October, but right now, in preparation for the feasibility study, they're implementing what's called a treatability study. So they are actually treating the river, the hot spots in particular, with a charcoal filtration process that eliminates toxins in both the and it's a common practice that's done before a major cleanup. Once they finish the treatability study, basically preparing the river, then they'll decide whether or not they're going to actually dredge the river, do dredging or capping to bring it to the point where it's fishable and swimmable, which is the ultimate goal here. So we try to keep the community informed at every stage. There's information about this process on the PEPCO website called the BenningsServiceCenter.org website. But right now, they're starting what's called the treatability study. So this charcoal filtration process has 5 phases, and it's designed to eliminate toxins in the river, as I said. And it's used now in most cleanups around the country. It's kind of the in thing because it's environmentally friendly. So this process will be going on until September or October, at which time we'll probably have a public meeting before the final cleanup commences, which is likely to be, this process will finish in September, October. So that process, the feasibility study, will start in 2021 and be finished by 2022.
Okay, well, thank you. And just to let the public know, this is just a reminder for folks, but both commissioners for 5D04 and 5D05 automatically have a seat on the PEPCO Community Advisory Group. And we are looking for other members of the community who can join our temporary environmental committee for ANC 5D, who could also attend those meetings and carry forward some of the goals of this community and seeing the cleanup of that site. So thank you so much for the update, Mr. Lester, much appreciated.
Thank you, anytime. If you have any questions, you could get them to me through Commissioner Moore, and I'd be glad to answer them or provide any materials.
All right, well, thank
Commissioner
you,
Moore, do we have
definitely,
any
I'll
questions
pass those
from Mr.
along.
Lester?
I don't see any questions.
hands raised?
If you do have questions, please raise your hand, the bottom of your screen. You can also type in the chat or section there to leave a question as well. Okay, and then I just had one request for an announcement, really, is that we have seen some issues in our neighborhood with developers working together with certain members of the community to development agreements on property when they have a property adjacent to some development through some tactics that really are just kind of not the most honest. And so I have made a report and requested an investigation into some of that behavior. And we also have Kevin Horgan, who is a member and actually the co-chair, the citizen co-chair of our zoning committee. You know, he's also seen some of these things. And so we just wanted to remind you that the zoning committee exists. You know, they're there to work on your behalf and to help advocate for you. And so please make sure to use them as a resource. And Kevin, if you just want to add some details there about how folks can reach out and what kind of things you're seeing.
Sure, thanks. If you as a homeowner are ever approached and someone wants you to sign a DCRA neighbor notification letter, please feel free to reach out to us. You can email us at anc5dzoning@gmail.com. We also have a public meeting. Now we're doing them virtual on the third Thursday of each month. If you as a homeowner, if you're thinking about doing an addition to your home and you just want to understand what can you do as a matter of right, we can give you advice. We have got at least 3 architects on the zoning committee. If you're thinking about doing something maybe beyond matter of right and you want to get a feel for when you get zoning relief, again, we're here to help you. I will say 95% of developers are amazing, great, hardworking people. Then every now and again, you'll have, someone who, they were being less than fully honest, trying to fool an elderly neighbor into signing something that she should not have signed. Thankfully, she did not. So if you ever have questions, please, we're your neighbors. We're here to help, and we're your advocates, and we'll help educate you on your rights.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes. Okay. All right. Thanks, Kevin. And then we do have, go ahead, because this could fit into the community comment section.
Right. That's what we're going to next. So, there is one?
No, there's no question for Kevin. I do see a comment, but that could go under the community comment section.
Okay, so now let's go into community feedback. Commissioner Moore, can you open it up for the community?
Okay. Sure. So we have, if anyone wants to raise their hand, you have the ability to share with us. We have Jamal Jordan on the line from PEPCO. I know many of us got an automated message, so I'm sure he's here to respond with some questions on that.
Yes, can everyone
Would you like
hear
to
me?
speak?
Oh,
yeah.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Jamal Jordan. I'm a PEPCO public affairs manager with PEPCO. And yes, to Commissioner, last week you guys got a notice about upcoming work that will be happening on the 1400 block of Florida Avenue, 1100 block of Holbrook Street Northeast, 1400 block of Moore Street Northeast, 800 block of Bladensburg Road, and the 1500 to the 1600 block of Maryland Avenue. And that was in reference to work that we started on May 8th. And it was a robocall that we went out to about 2 mile radius of the work area. So quite a bit of folks got a call about work that they would see. At this time, there is no scheduled outage for this construction work. And it was awareness calls. So if folks saw construction work and us working, we were just having a better enhancement and communicating to folks. And that's why we did the 2 mile radius, and a lot of folks got a robocall about the upcoming work. But we also sent letters, and also we've sent the ANC letter, and we actually have weekly updates, and we're going to be providing the ANC with that too, to provide with the community about the work. And my next thing is, if you guys have already seen before, we have a big initiative where it's a reduce energy use DC pledge. As you can imagine, during these times, as part of an effort, more than 20 environmental business and community groups launched a new initiative, education for district residents on way we can use energy more efficiently and steps to reduce energy at our home. And it's called the Reduce Energy Use DC. And we ask residents to pledge and provide those signups with tips and easy ways to save and lower your energy bill. So PEPCO and the District Department of Energy and Environment and Sustainable Energy Utility are the founding partners. We actually started kicking off this month. And I'm sorry, I'm pulling up and if you can go to the information where the pledge will help your neighbors know where the power to save energy and save money to reduce emission and contribute to that contributes to climate change. So the Take the Pledge is www.reduceenergyyousedc.com. And we're signing people all the way up till July 7th. And we're having random prizes and drawings, but prizes can be $300 credits on bills. And if you're not a Pepco customer, you can get $3 credit towards a Pepco customer of your choice. We have a social media campaign, Reduce Energy DC, and we're really just getting, if you go to the website, we're just really getting this campaign out as we see more people are staying at home, using energy more often. We're just finding ways to better use it efficiently, but also educate our customers. And that concludes my message.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Any questions? Commissioner Moore?
So I don't see any more questions here. Just to remind folks, you can raise your hand, and all those functions are at the bottom of your screen. You can either raise your hand or you can type a question in the chat, or if you just have a comment as well.
And Commissioner Moore, let's do commission reports. So they might have some questions after that, or if they raise their hand. And did you see no hands raised at this time?
I don't see any hands raised at this time.
Okay, so Commissioner Linhan, you have anything you want to say?
Yeah, I wanted to make one announcement. We've had a food donation for anyone in need on Saturday at noon. This has been organized with Empower DC, and this has been at Bethesda Baptist Church on Central Place. Again, Saturdays at noon on Central Place at Bethesda Baptist Church for anyone in need.
Is that weekly, Commissioner Linhan? Is that weekly?
We've done this for the last 3 weeks.
It's every Saturday?
Yes. This has been every Saturday.
And do they have an end date? Do they? Is there going to be an end date?
Unknown. And this is going to be organized as long as we can. We have a church donating, so this is as long as the donations are coming in, and they have been. We've been picking up 50 bags of groceries every Saturday and handing those out. So please let everybody know that may be in need, and maybe I'll see you on Saturday.
And are you there when they pass them out?
I have been picking up the groceries. I've been feeling a little under the weather this week, so I might not be there. Just to be as a precautionary measure. I've already worked on trying to find a replacement to pick up those groceries.
And I just wanted to gauge: are you running out of food, or are you meeting the needs, or do you need more food?
Oh no. The food has been donated by Utilitarian Church in Northwest, Unitarian Church in Northwest.
No, but you never run out. I mean, everybody who comes gets. We've
been very lucky, and then actually, this past Saturday, it was the first time we had 2 food donations. One that was organized by MPD over at Trinity Baptist Church on the corner of Mount Olivet and West Virginia. So we actually had a food donation that started at about 11:45. People started lining up, and then we had another one that started at 1:15. So it is been covering Ivy City pretty well.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you.
And we do have one question here from Salvador Salceda Guzman. He says, "Can we donate?"
I know that some of the churches are accepting donations. However, the food that has been donated has been prepackaged by the church in Northwest that we're picking up. I think it's called All Souls Church. I think so. But that has been where the food has been prepared. And I know that it's as a precautionary measure, just trying to minimize as many hands are touching food. So this has been something that's just been one place right now, just to keep that as an easy way to locate if there was ever an issue.
Okay.
But thank you.
I don't see any. Oh, I do see. Okay, he says thank you.
So Commissioner Motley. You're on mute, Commissioner Motley.
As far as I do know that the Shrine of the Immaculate Conception, they are having big food donations, but they're doing it through another church. I can't think if it's through the All Souls Presbyterian Church or not, but if they're called, they will direct you. And I'm just trying to get a wraparound on this balance around here. So at this point, all I can basically do is pray and try to work with our law enforcement. And with that, that's about it for me.
Commissioner Moore.
So we are also working on some food distribution sites in the Carver-Langston community. We are currently ironing out the last details on getting some food distribution up and running at the Patsy Hartsfield Center. And so that would be sort of a pull up to the plaza area there and receive boxed groceries, as well as a location at Heckinger Mall. And so Caremore Clinic has donated part of their facility. Yes, in order to make that sort of an easy access point. And that's really, something that's easy for all of our neighborhoods pretty much to get to, as well as a lot of folks who are using the X2 bus to get around since we have such limited bus service. So we're working out the final details on that. And so I'll share that with people as soon as I have that information. Also, we'll have an upcoming SMD meeting on zoning, as well as a lot of the violent crime issues that we faced. And that will be next Tuesday at 7 p.m. And that will be a Zoom meeting as well. So if you haven't already seen details on that, that will be going out via email and text message to those people who are registered for that.
All right.
What time?
At 7 p.m.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
And Commissioner Moore, I saw that I thought that was my Zoom meeting. Do we have the two meetings at the same day? My SMD next Tuesday?
I think we have the same day, but I think you guys are starting a little bit earlier than us.
Okay, because right, I have an SMD meeting to roll into that next Tuesday because I have a property at 1419 Trinidad that's going to present. I did already ask them to contact Kevin Horgan. Are you still on? Is he still on?
He is, but he's in attendee mode. But I can make him.
Well, I just want to know that they contact him in regards to.
Okay. So Kevin, you're able to speak.
Okay. What's the address?
1419 Trinidad. Did they contact you? I gave them your information to get on your agenda.
Is this about the rooftop deck?
1419 Trinidad.
I'm trying to figure out. There was somebody who presented at the last zoning committee meeting. I'm trying to see if that was the neighbors. They were.
This is the developer. That's my neighbor. This is the
that
developer.
was 1413. Oh yeah, the rooftop deck was for 1413 Trinidad. I don't think. Could be wrong here, but I don't think the developer has reached out to us yet about 1419.
Okay. Well, I did ask them to present at the SMD Zoom next Tuesday. So I'd like for all the people in the Trinidad area, because this is a joint SMD, to join us next Tuesday to get firsthand information. They do not have a hearing date yet, so it won't. We might vote on it in June, just in case if we get everything in. If Kevin approves and we get everything, we might have it scheduled for a vote on the June meeting. But definitely want everybody to come out and see the presentation. Just encouraging folks to just really, with the COVID, if you have not been, if you've been blessed not to have your circle infiltrated by the COVID, just take that as a blessing, because I find a lot of my circles, fortunately not my immediate family, but a lot of my circles are being affected by the COVID and losing family members. So just keep wearing your mask.
Yes.
And so keep wearing your mask and keep the 6 feet. And so we'd like you so we can get over it, we can flatten this curve. And then at New Samaritan, to end of June, they will be doing food every Wednesday. We had I'm a church member there also. It's not my SMD, but it's my church, and we're doing food every Wednesday. We're starting to get kind of a tight budget, and we'll see how we did Sunday with some giving to support it. The pastor did ask us to give some more so we can continue this through June, but hopefully we'll be able to continue it to the end of the through the end of this crisis, at least through July. So that's canned goods and some fresh food. So that's at noon on Wednesdays. So definitely through the end of June, I'll let you know if it gets extended. So please come out if you need food. And then I ask people who are coming to donate food, be mindful. It's like the toilet pedestrian, just don't hit everywhere. If you hit Ryan's on Saturday, don't come to New Samaritan on Wednesday. Let somebody else get some food, because there's people that really have need. So I know people like to stock up, but let your neighbors get a chance. So the food can be spread around. I'm glad to hear we're in Ivy City, Carver Terrace, now in Trinidad, passing out food. So if you miss Saturday, of course, come to New Samaritan tomorrow. And what did you say yours was, Commissioner Moore? You haven't?
So we don't have a date just yet.
Okay, so if you're up in Carver Terrace, come to New Samaritan, because we have it tomorrow. We've been running about 100 to 100 bags. I don't know if you get 1 or 2 bags. We've been running that amount, like I say, and the food comes from the Capital City Food Bank and Trader Joe's. We get donations every week from Trader Joe's. So just like people to come out. We did good this week, this month with our Zoom meeting. We're closing out on 9 o'clock. Is there anything else, commissioners, before we adjourn?
Nope.
I do see one question here.
Okay.
Random question for the commission. It says from Salvador Sauceda Guzman. When a commissioner has not been available or attending meetings, who is our next point of contact? It says parentheses 5D02. Will Commissioner Lee be that point of contact? Yes, because I'm the only commissioner in Trinidad. But look, I will draft my other commissioners and their expertise to assist me, because I'm sort of challenged. I'm in and out of town. My family member, my wife is caring for her mother out of town, so I'm in and out of town a lot. But by all means, give me a call or give me an email, and hopefully I can help you. Okay. And so then, Commissioner, Kevin, I see your hand raised. Did you have a question?
I did. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I know there is someone has expressed interest, is going to run for a special election for the 5D06 seat. Is there also going to be a special election for the 5D02 seat? Is that a vacant seat, 5D02?
No, it's not a vacant seat.
Okay.
We haven't had a resignation from Commissioner Shropshire. We're all up for re-election though in November. So I don't, she's having some personal issues. So how we address that, the community can address it by contacting Commissioner Shropshire or the Office of the ANC, and they can inform them what steps to take. But I don't know at this late a notice, would it be filled? Could something happen for the June 2nd election? Does Commissioner, do you have any idea? I think it's too late for that, isn't it?
So yes, part of what's going on with us just as ANCs in general is that a lot of the laws that govern how we operate are changing. So I know that there had already been a resignation and a special election set up for the 5D06 seat. Just because that happened prior to the pandemic. There was a vote on May the 5th that changes the law so that we're not doing special elections on ANC vacancies right now, but I don't know for sure how that applies specifically to the 5D06 seat, just because, it's such a recent change and we just haven't had guidance on that yet. In terms of vacancies in general, or sort of a missed meetings. You know, one of the bylaws that we did change was that, you know, after a certain period of you know, not having attended meetings, but without notice, that we would have the ability as a commission to go ahead and call that seat vacant. So I don't know, that's not something that would necessarily even benefit us at this time, because we couldn't have any way of filling that seat. So you know, we're just in a challenging position. And just because you're not seeing someone doesn't mean that they haven't given us notice as well. So we just want to kind of make folks aware of that.
And Commissioner Burkett did resign before, well, the COVID was here before it came. And since it was already a scheduled election for June the 2nd.
Yeah.
So it was easy for them to add that position in at that time. Yeah. But, you know, after, you know, we don't meet in July and August. We still can conduct business, the commissioners can. And when we return in September, and they're still trying to decide, even for ANC, how we're going to do the petitions, whether it's going to be virtual petitions or handwritten petitions to get on the ballot.
Well, they changed it so that we're doing virtual petitions, but they haven't given us guidelines on how to do the virtual petitions yet. So they reduced the number of signatures you need from 25 to 10. And they said they're going to be virtual, but we don't have a lot of guidance on how to move forward with that, just because it's such a recent change.
And with that, any more questions, Commissioner Moore?
No, I don't see any more questions.
All right. Well, again, both Commissioner Linehan, are you having SMD coming up? You didn't mention.
Mine just passed, actually. I believe so.
Oh, you just had it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So you got both Commissioner Moore and myself on next Tuesday, the 19th. We both will encourage you all to check in with us, to give us the support that we need and get the information that you need to be informed. We thank everyone for coming out. We did have Commissioner Moore. How many people on this meeting?
We had at one point about 30 people on the meeting. We're going down now.
Keep going down.
Yeah, people.
I guess people didn't trust us to be done in 2 hours, so. So we look forward to seeing everybody June the 9th. Correct? I'm not looking at my agenda.
Yes, June 9th.
June the 9th, our next ANC meeting. We're encouraging everybody to be safe. Hope to see some members tomorrow at New Samaritan getting food. I'm just going to say good night, and we adjourn the meeting.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.